Okay, so the location of the transmission went in from the front. Gonna kind of go in here and turn around. So I'm under the vehicle. This is where we drain the transmission fluid right here. That's a 3/8 inch square, so we use a 3/8 breaker bar. We're gonna drain our fluid out of there in just a second. All right, so we're under the car. This is our 3/8 inch bolt to drain the transmission fluid. So I have a 3/8 inch breaker bar. It's gonna go in here, and then I may have to use a little pipe extension to get the torque I need on that. Okay, so what I usually do on these is get that in, and then I get a pipe to fit over the breaker bar. But this pipe is maybe a little too long, so I'm going to get a smaller one. The 3/8 inch breaker bars are just short. The 1/2 inch breaker bars are long enough, but these can be short when you're dealing with these bolts that haven't been off in a long time. So this will give us a little more. Okay, so that did it. So now we don't need the pipe anymore. So now we're going to get out of the way. We can do it by hand now. And the fluid's going to go flying, so you do not want to be under here when you take that off. Alright, so we got this loosened. Now that fluid's going to come flying, so I want to kind of have my hand where I can get out of the way. There we go.
Oh, that's gross.
So we're going to let that drain. Alright, if you can kind of show this bolt, this is a magnet, so it's meant to get metal shavings out of the transmission. So you want to take a rag and wipe the end of this. So you see that it's real black, but this is really not bad at all. Usually if a car's been taken care of, by the time you get your first transmission fluid change, most of the metal is going to come out then, and you're going to very little after that. So it actually gets better over time as far as that goes as the car gets broken in. So this has a crush washer on it. This washer right here, you always want to make sure you have that, and then it's not still stuck to the transmission. So it's always good to find it, make sure you have it. So we're gonna, this one's kind of, because it's a crush washer, sometimes they're hard to get off. So sometimes you have to kind of unscrew them on the threads, but we want to remove that, and we'll put a new 18mm crush washer on there. So I'm gonna go remove this while this is draining, and I'm gonna move the pan a little bit more under that. Now that it's got most of it, and I'm gonna, why don't you come up to the top from there? So here's your top of your engine. You look down on this side, you see this yellow dipstick right here. This is our transmission fluid, so I'm going to pull that up a little bit just to get some airflow to help it drain some more. Okay. Alright, so now that our fluid is just barely dripping, we have our new crush washer on. We've wiped our magnet. We have a torque wrench set to 36 foot-pounds of torque. So now I'm going to use a rag to keep that from dripping on me when I move the pan away. It's barely dripping, so we're good to call that complete. And I'm just going to kind of hold a rag under the drip area and just start hand tightening this, and in no time, you know, you've taken care of the drip. So it's not dripping. So now I can move my catch pin away, and now I'm gonna get my torque wrench on here. So we've got that on. So now what we're gonna do, get our fluid here. And the thing about transmission fluid changes. Most cars, they'll say 30,000 miles. You definitely want to stick to that, because in a car like this, the owner's manual tells us that it holds 7.4 quarts, but in a transmission fluid change, you're only getting out 2.7 quarts. So it's very important that you do that, because a lot of that fluid is old and it stays in there, and it's designed to do that. So you don't need to worry about it, but you definitely don't want to push this more than 30,000 miles. So it tells us we should be adding 2.7 quarts, but just to make sure, I want to see what we actually got out of there, just so I know how much was in there that came out, because what I add should be almost the same as what we took out. So I've got a little measurement picture over here. It says it's 2 quarts. So we're just gonna kind of see what came out. Okay. Getting close to 2. That looks like 2. So I'm gonna dump this out. So there's 2. Are you going to be very close to that 2.7 that the manual said? 2.8 it looks like. Yeah, I got a little over 2.8 quarts out of it. So that's very good. It just kind of helps us know how much to add. So alright, so we're gonna add that from the top. So when you look at this, you're gonna see that, I don't know if you can see that, was that showing up on the camera?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big dipstick hole, so it's not like it's difficult to get a funnel in there. So we're gonna find a funnel to use, and we're gonna add our transmission fluid back in. Alright, so the owner's manual on these says to use ATF, that stands for automatic transmission fluid, -Z1. But years ago, Honda replaced ATF Z1 with ATF DW-1. So that's the correct fluid now, ATF DW-1. Says 2.7 quarts, but as you saw, we took out like 2.85 quarts. So you can find various funnels that have a small opening. So we're going to try this one. I don't think I've ever actually used this. It screws right onto the quart bottle, and I've got it closed. This is going so slowly, I think a funnel with a small tube would be faster. So we're gonna switch methods here. Okay, so I had forgotten I had this. So this is a transmission funnel. So this particular one looks like it's a LU Max LX-1603. I'm sure I got this on Amazon at some point. So this will go right down in there. No problem. That's what it's made for. So then you just have to hold this with one hand while you pour with the other. So we're going to finish off the first quart. Going much faster now that it's got some airflow. If you can just hold on to that, I'll get the other bottle ready. All right, Kristen, you want to put in the... Here, just unplug it. Just unplug it. I'll just edit all that out. Here, take this.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. All right, Kristen, you want to put in the second quart?
Yep.
Yeah, just make sure the hose is in the
yeah, it is. It's
transmission. Just want to pour it where the funnel denotes. You can keep pouring. Just here, I'll tell you a little secret about these bottles. Hold them upside down. They pour better. This way. Yeah, pour that way. You can just kind of keep pouring slowly. So this is our second one, so we know it takes all that one. And then on the third one, we'll kind of watch what we do. Now go ahead and hold it upside down. Let it drip out a little while. Just hold it upside down and I'll go get the third bottle ready.
Okay.
Alright, so I find it's helpful to have a measuring pitcher. So I wrote all the I wrote the quarts in tenths. So I filled this up to 0.8 since we got out 2.85. So I'm putting back in 2.8. And then once we get the transmission up to temperature and run the car for the first time after this, I'll check it when it's hot and make sure that it's in the safe range. And I'm sure it will be, because it was before. So should be good with 2.8, and if it needs any more I'll adjust it, but I think we're going to be good. So this is going to complete our transmission fluid change after we put our dipstick back in. And then of course, like I said, check the fluid after the transmission fluid gets hot. So we'll take that out, take our transmission fluid dipstick, put it in. So if you had trouble seeing it because it's dark, just remember it's the yellow handled dipstick. It's the only thing down there that you're gonna see, because the oil goes in over here with this orange, so there's really no mistaking it for anything else. Got this little yellow hook on the end for your finger to go into to grab it. And then just make sure it's really on there, because it kind of seals it when it pops in. It doesn't just sit in there, it kind of is a force fit, so just want to make sure it's all the way in. So that's it for our transmission fluid.